Good evening, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Tonight is Friday. I want to go over an old interview with Mayoral hopeful Corazon Pineda-Isaac, Councilwoman for District 2 and candidate for mayor of the city of Yonkers.
Freddie win.
This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. And tonight, let's discuss Mayoral hopeful Corazon Pineda-Isaac in a podcast I like to call Unfulfilled Promises. Now, don't get it twisted. I can do a podcast titled Unfulfilled Promises on each and every one, including the mayor. I don't want to single anyone out, please, by all means, no. Good evening, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Today, I was on YouTube doing some research, going over interviews, and I saw this one with Corazon Pineda-Isaac. This was in 2021. Now, why did I? Actually, you know what? I wasn't going over a bunch of interviews. I just was looking over Corazon interviews. That's it. And actually, it was the only one I saw. And I started to watch this one. And why? Today, I got an email, and I won't say anything other about this person. They're an anonymous person. But I got an email from someone who suggested that I made peace with Corazon, right? Or not peace, but I joined forces with Corazon Pineda-Isaac, right? I'm sorry, I'm trying to fix my... and that the Spanos hate her. They hate Corazon, and they like the fact that I'm actually going to be running because I'm going to be splitting the vote, and it's going to work in Spanos' favor now because Corazon had a chance before that I was entering. I don't know how true that is. I mean, I don't know. Has Corazon, has her chances been reduced because I said I am going to also be out there gathering signatures in hopes of getting more than 1,000. 1,000 is what's required, but you have to get more than 1,000 in order to get on the ballot. Does that affect Corazon at all? I don't think so. I mean, really? If it does, I'm very flattered, But yeah, this individual says, Freddie, the Spanos hate Corazon and they want you. They like the fact that you're going to be out there. And if you get 1,000 signatures or you get on the ballot, you're just going to split the vote and you're going to hurt Corazon. Get on the bandwagon. Join forces with Corazon. But I'm not going to support someone that I don't... It's not about winning. It's not about winning. I'm sorry. Did I not make myself very clear? I'm not going to support someone simply because I want to win, right? That's like joining forces with someone that and I'm not trying to say anything negative so much about Corazon. I don't want to be that way. I'm just saying that I don't see the reason why, groups like Indivisible, Westchester Hispanics, United, or whatever, all these, all these other individuals, I know she's using Senator Cousins' strategist, which is fine. I mean, anyone, I guess, if you pay him, unless he's exclusive, right? But I don't see why. And to me, that just makes it seem like, again, we're going into it for the wrong reasons. And we're not trying to just change the person. We're trying to change the attitude, the culture, the mindset, the way things have been done, right? That's the change we're talking about. We're not talking about changing a person, right? We're not saying we want to replace this older white male with a younger Latina woman. That's not the goal here, is it? Or did I miss something? I thought the goal was to improve this city for those that have been disenfranchised, to improve our school district and have a candidate, an elected official, a leader that truly wants to focus on the schools, not just say it, not just talk about it, not just say our schools need this and that, and then produce nothing. right? Produce nothing and then have an excuse as to why they were not able to produce. I'm talking about changing that. Changing the way things have been done here in the city of Yonkers for far too long. And as you will see by this video that's 2 years old now, right? Nothing has changed. And I don't know if Corazon is that person to lead us to the promised land. Yet and still, so many credible, I guess, individuals that if they're supporting you, you're a real candidate. That's right. They're not supporting me. So I'm not a real candidate. Although I'm sure I can dance circles around Corazon. I can dance circles around Mike Spano as the mayor of the city of Yonkers. And I don't mean that to be arrogant. I don't mean that to be arrogant at all. But I'm very capable, and I never had to be dependent on the system that they're all dependent on, which is a taxpayer system, right? In order to sustain themselves in life. We need someone that's a true leader that has led, that has succeeded, right? When it took their own money and they risked that money. They risked themselves, where these individuals play with this like monopoly money, right? So we don't see their real losses. They don't have any losses. They're not risking anything. This interview here was with the Yonkers Voice. And so I want to play through it. And I you know, what's the basis, what's the basis with, for the support from these individuals? Because, I just feel that they are very strong, right? Group like Indivisible, very strong. They have a good infrastructure. So they can help, candidates be successful, and other groups, right? So what is the basis? Is it just that you want to win? Is it that other people are looking to take control, are looking to gain power here? I'm not sure, right? And so listen, let's take a look at what Corazon.
That's actually a really important and a good question, because it really allows us to do some critical thinking. So one of the things that I believe that still affects our district is, there's a big drug use still in the NodineHill community area, and there's still crime that happens there. And I think that, that's one of the things that I hope that I can, my office could rid of. But unfortunately, it takes more than just a council person wanting for it to go away. It's a collaborative effort with YPD. It's a collaborative effort with our federal police and police organizations, and really just finding ways to tackle the drugs that are in our communities, the violence, and improving on that. I know crime has gone down significantly since, for years now. Yonkers is the safest city of its size. However, I do know that oftentimes when we say those comments, sometimes someone who lives in NodineHill, who lives in Southwest Yonkers, might think, how can that be? Because they don't feel that that statement, is factual when it comes to their backyard. So I want to continue to work to improve our communities, to make them safer. And part of the way that we do that is by doing supplemental things that combat crime.
So again, I want to remind folks, this interview is 2 years old now, right? And so she's talking about crime going down, but she makes a quick, she adds a caveat to that, right? I do know that, but, for the people that are living there and that actually see what's actually happening because they live there, right? And they see the crime taking place every day, right? I know that, me saying that crime has gone down doesn't mean much. No, absolutely it does not. Overall, maybe, if that, which we can make a debate on that, but in your district specifically, no, I don't think so. I do not think so. I'm in your district a lot more than you, Corazon. That's a fact. I'm in there a lot more than you. And I speak to people out there a lot more than you do. In fact, some of them don't even know who the council representative is. And I have gotten things done in your district for you, Corazon. You don't have to thank me. But that is what a true leader does. They go out there. You represent that community. You're supposed to be there. I'm not saying every day, but you're supposed to be seen. They should know who you are. And there shouldn't be a fire hydrant left broken, unusable for a week or more. That's unacceptable. And so this is just a small test. Your district is just a small test of what you would be able to do citywide. And you can say, well, I'm just a council person. Yeah, I don't like that excuse from anyone. I like to see you in a debate with these clowns. Me too.
Centers, after school programs, support services, investing in organizations like SNUG. And those are the things that I can control and that I hope to continue supporting as I continue in office.
So she says that, you know, it takes supplemental programs to help reduce crime. Supplemental programs like funding. You can say this with your eyes closed almost now, right? And the YMCA, the SNUG program, and they're still continuing to repeat this line today. Remember, again, this is 2 years old, and I like going over these interviews because we can see what progress has been actually made. And so now when they give us more of these promises, are we going to believe them again? Remember, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So are we going to be allowed to be fooled 3 times, actually a 4th time as they go for the 4th term, right? And so they keep funding these programs. And as you'll see, somebody who's watching this interview at the time actually even makes a comment in reference to the fact that they keep funding specific programs, but there's still no result being produced. So why not try new programs, new organizations? Oh, because there is some system set up there where the money's played around with. Yeah, too many people are making money, too many hands in the pot. Not going to mess that system up as long as Spano's in office. Ain't that right, Corazon?
Corazon, I'm glad that you brought that up about the crime in our area. Lots of people comment on Yonkers Voice saying that crime in Yonkers is going up, it's going up, it's going up. Personally, I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Cell phone, and we years.
They talk about social media,
right? You get to test the temperatures
based on what you see. Now,
I wasn't saying that you were creating a false narrative. I was saying that, like you mentioned, that because everything is posted, sometimes people can feel like crime is hot at whole time high, even though it's not. It is. That's what I mean by the false narrative. Not that you're creating.
No, that's not a false narrative, Corazon. If people are recording crimes happening and they're posting it, then the crimes are happening. They're posting it. So yeah, that means there's a lot. We're seeing it now. What we should be saying is, oh my God, look how much crap is happening out there in the streets. We didn't know it before because they didn't have video and social media, right? Now we get to see it all. That's what you should be saying. Now we get to see those 4 guys or 4 individuals on Elm Street over there get shot at one time. Now we get to see when the stray bullet hits the 6-year-old. Now we get to see when the police officer is shot doing his job in the bodega in your district. Now we get to see all the crime that's actually happening in your district. You're right. You're right. Crime is definitely up, I would say, in your district.
Now, we are doing a live stream, and as you know, there is people engaging. There is a comment now from Mr. Barry McGooey, the former president of Local 628. And
therefore, West Hub was able to leverage that investment to get additional private fundraising to really build this community center. But it shows the commitment of the city. And with that, we're getting a brand new state-of-the-art community center. Every time I go there, I'm in so excitement. It's in all a brand new, it's gonna have a basketball court, computer rooms. It's gonna be ADA compliant so that it can serve all communities. They've expanded the amount of bathrooms that area has so that it could really serve communities. We're gonna bring in Neighbors Link, which works with day laborers and mothers and provides childcare for those looking to improve their communities, and many more programs. And then in addition to that, now next to it, we're building Day Spring Commons. And that's so important because that's going to serve families that were previously homeless. It's going to serve veterans, and it's going to be an open lottery. And these are affordable housing units, 100% affordable, that are brand new. and people are excited and they want to apply to it, these are the kind of investments that we need to make in NodineHill, because little by little, that's how you transform communities. In addition to that, I'm bringing a food pantry to the NodineHill Community Center. And that's going to be really great because, you know, oftentimes people from NodineHill have to travel either to San Andres or down the hill to different food pantries throughout the city, which are great and providing a great service. But, you know, thanks to the support of people like Lorraine, of people like Feeding Westchester and different ministries, we're able to bring food pantries to.
Notice who she actually names, and then she makes also general statements, right? But she does name some of the organizations.
NodineHill to serve the community locally and very close.
Well,
I'm looking forward to that, for that initiative to launch.
now,
So she talks about there the Dayspring Community Center, which has opened up over there on the corner of Elm Street and Walnut. It was a church. They actually filmed the some of the movie with Denzel Washington and the late singer, I forgot, Whitney Houston there. But now it's been converted into a community center. You know, they do some activities out there. I've seen some, you know, they have a day after school program. I've seen some of the staff out there, kids going into the program. And I believe there was a basketball tournament there not too long ago. And that's great. You know, and every community needs one. You know, but what I want to see is more engagement, like more outreach, bringing in more people into that and making sure that it's open to everyone and it's not restricted and kind of being controlled by, you know, some people and other people, because that's what happens with things, right? And then things get built up and it's supposed to be for everybody. But then you get individuals that get inside there that have kind of some leverage there. You know, they may have the keys to open up and all that stuff. And then they kind of begin to, you know, restrict individuals or other people and stuff like that. These are just things that I've heard from people, right? And so I'm just making that statement out there. And that, you know, it happens, you know, throughout. I don't want to just single that daycare center out, or I mean that the spring center there. But, you know, we need more of those throughout, and we need engagement. Like we need to do a lot of programming out of them. You know, it's a great space, but is it being maximized? Is it being utilized to the fullest, right? And then we have other communities that need certain things like that as well. But, you know, that was all part of that development that they did there. She says it's all affordable, which it is. They do the food distribution from in between that building and the Dayspring Community Center. I've seen it sometimes, and it's, I believe, with Feeding Westchester. So yeah, you know, Feeding Westchester has definitely a connection with a lot of our elected officials, and so they set up Tasha Diaz. They'll set up I guess, I don't think it's Corazon. I don't think she's out there, but these organizations, you know, are not something that you've done, Corazon. This is not what you're doing. Like the community center, you didn't do that. You that's not what your thing. That was West Hab. They saw a property. You know, they're looking to build affordable housing away from the waterfront, away from the luxury development, and so they found a spot up there. That's what that was all about. Let's just keep it 1,000%. I remember I spoke about the affordable trust for affordable housing trust fund. Well, that's where some of that money goes, right? So the developers don't want to include the 10% that's required in their luxury developments of affordable units. So what they'll do is they'll put money into an affordable housing trust fund. So that money then goes to build affordable housing elsewhere. Again, which is great, I guess, because it's needed. If they're not going to put it into those buildings, we still need that to be built somewhere else, right? We still need the apartments themselves. So that's where they located one of the affordable housing that West Hab is doing. West Hab has another one down on Elm Street. They have one at the bottom of Elm Street. They have one at the top of Elm Street. You know, West Hab is connected. They're tied in with the administration. Folks, I know how business works. There's definitely kickbacks happening there. And I guess, whatever, right? I guess, I don't know, you know, but I'm sure that somewhere along the line, ultimately the people still lose, right? You can give a little something, but then when you're taking a lot more from the back end, right, it's not really doing something so nice, right? So West Hab has got connections. They're building all over. They're the sole affordable or low income housing, you know, which really that's what that is. That's not necessarily just affordable, meaning where, you know, you have to make a certain amount of money, because I believe that even if you're not generating an income there, you can still get an apartment there, right? So it's kind of a mixed use. Actually, they have you know, veterans, they have low income folks who qualify for that. And they also have people who are suffering from mental health. So they're mixing people up. Why? Because they rather do that than open up separate, facilities, one for maybe veterans, one for maybe, individuals who, do make a certain income, right? Or they have an income, they go to work, they just can't afford these expensive market rates, right? And then there's one for individuals who have mental health and may have been homeless, separate, but they're mixing, they're combining them, which, I just think that, I know in the mental health field, if you have, individuals that are suffering from mental health, there's possibilities for things, depending on, the severity of their mental health and what they're suffering from, and then to mix that with, other individuals that may not understand that, right, and may not know why their neighbor that, is doing what they're doing. And they, what I'm saying? I can see that leading to just problems. That's just me, but that's what they do in order to, save on having to build more of those buildings. Because they don't have the land.
This is a live interviews and people are asking questions, and I do this for the people of Yonkers so people can engage. You voted against term limits.
One question.
Nevertheless, you are running for the third term. If the vote had gone according to what you wanted, you would not be able to run again, but you are. So if you were against term limits, why are you running for the third term?
Thank you, Ben, and thank you to whoever asked that question. So when term limits came to the forefront, my biggest criticism of it was how it came about, was the amount of time that was provided to the public for the public to have public input. It was the fact that it didn't go on a public forum, so it didn't go on the ballot for voters to decide if they want this or not. And it was how fast it happened. So how fast it was introduced and voted on. So when I voted no, I didn't vote against the concept that that elected officials should serve 12 years or 3 terms of 4 years. Instead, I voted against the procedure and the process in which it was done. Our legislators are in office for 12 years. They're 2-year terms, but they're in office for 12 years. And I think that it's a good amount of years, because I do agree that oftentimes, there's projects that take a lot of time from beginning to end. So I didn't necessarily disagree with the extension of term limits. I disagree with how it was brought to the people, and that's what I voted against. And if you go back to the tapes, that's what the record shows.
So now
go back to the tape. Let's go back to the tape. Again. It's a broken record, folks. They really rear off the script, right? I mean, she's saying exactly the same thing this time around. Same thing, but she's gladly taking advantage of it, ain't she? Right? So she says that she voted against it, but she feels like, I agree with 3 terms because the county legislators have 3 terms. They serve 12 years. What does that got to do with you as a city council person? That's a lame excuse. Explain to me the correlation there. It's a lame excuse. Okay? You guys can't even figure it out when it comes to the homeless. That's a county problem, city problem. No, it's a county problem. No, it's not me. No, it's you. But you guys want to share the same amount of years together, but you can't figure it out when it comes to the homeless problem, right? That's a lame excuse, folks. I'm just trying to shed light on this. I see the nonsense and the BS. So that's a lame excuse. She gladly took advantage of it. Then she says, I didn't like that it wasn't put on to a public referendum, and also how quickly it was pushed through. Same thing this time around, Corazon. Same thing. You should have been better prepared this time. But you let the people down. Did you not know that was going to happen? You didn't think Lakeisha was going to introduce that legislation for the 4th term? The people were talking about it. People were asking questions about it before Lakeisha, the city council president, introduced it. Why didn't you acknowledge it? Right? If you knew that it happened before, you didn't like it, and you didn't like that it wasn't put to a public vote, and you didn't like how quickly it was pushed through, which happened all over again, then why didn't you speak up when people started mentioning it? The public, the constituents, the voters, remember us, the people? Remember us? The people that actually live here that you guys are supposed to represent? You said nothing. You gave a great scripted speech. You now, will you be running again for mayor, right? But if you don't make it to mayor, we'll see, right? So she says, that's the thing I didn't like about it, but it happened again. People were mentioning it. They were asking, are they going to, put legislation for a fourth term? You ignored it. You didn't mention it. You didn't get ahead of it. Did nothing. You knew it was coming. You absolutely knew it was coming, Corazon. All happening. You are told what the program is. Now get with the program.
I'm glad that you made it clear. You were not against, term limits. You were against the way things were done, the procedure.
Absolutely, because I wanted to be able to really know if this is something that people wanted and if this is something that people were in support of. And that's why I felt that it should go to the ballot box and that the procedure either should have taken more time or should have gone straight to the ballot box.
Now, we have here a statement from...
So again, she says that it should have, went to the a public referendum, the ballot box, or taken more time. When it came back around for the fourth term, she said the same thing. She did the same spiel. And what? Nothing. You didn't get ahead of it. You didn't mention it. You knew it was coming. You should have brought it up. You should have said, hey, are you guys looking to introduce a legislation? The constituents want to know. The people want to know. You didn't. You played your part. You read your speech that was provided to you, and you're playing the game. And listen, to the person that emailed me, at the end of the day, I'm not going to support someone that I don't agree with, that I can see the BS, that hasn't done anything, that just tells us a bunch of lies, a bunch of nonsense, what we want to hear. I'm not going to play that. That's not who I am. I'm sorry. If I was that person, I'd be still friends with this guy. I'd be cool in the gang, right? I'm not like that, man. I got to be honest, right? And I can't sit here and lie to people. Like, I don't see how they can just sit there and do that. It's just not who I am. I just never been that way. I don't understand.
Mr. Hector Santiago, this is what he says. I had an amazing conversation with Corazon Pineda regarding the safety in design, which will bring more lights in NodineHill area. I am definitely looking forward to see our district lit up. Tell us about this.
So we spoke about, actually, I'm glad he mentioned that because I would have forgotten to mention that when we were talking about crime. I talked about crime in NodineHill. And one of the things that studies show is that crime usually happens in not well-lit areas because criminals like to do transactions and acts of violence in dark areas. So if I've allocated money to do a lighting study on NodineHill so that we can determine what are the appropriate lights that we need to make NodineHill bright and easy on the eye so that it deters crime. So we're starting with Elm Street. We're going to do a lighting study there and then determine how much money is going to cost us to renovate or redo all those lights so that we can have a nice bright street and then continue that process throughout the rest of NodineHill.
Now, Corazon, let me remind you of something that actually I brought to your attention.
Get a Ruros.
We were going to work on it, but I don't think nothing ever happened about it. The people of St. Casimir also has a problem with lights. I brought this to your attention about maybe 4 or 5 years ago. You were actually at the scene with us and some residents of the area. You saw that there was no light. You got, I believe, a temporary light put in by where the old police headquarters used to be. You were going to work on the budget on the following budget season to get money allocated for that area, but nothing ever happens. The people are there still without lights, and it's 5 years later. But now you got involved in Elm Street or NodineHill, and you were able to get lights. What's the difference between one place and the other? Those people in St. Casimir also have kids. They also have concern for safety. They're afraid to send their kids to the store at the corner because they don't know what might happen. What happened there?
So we put in those temporary lights that are actually very bright, and you were there, you remembered, you recorded it. And then from the information that I got from DPW is that light is sufficient to light up that area. It's a dead end. So really there was no other structure for us to really implement additional lights.
You build up
And
structures, Corazon. You build up the structures. You know, the fact that there is no structure does not mean you cannot build up some structures.
correct, but it was very expensive to do so because it's just a dead end, and the amount of money that it would cost to implement those lights without any like power lines and Con Edison there. It literally, the lights that we put on, remember, we had to put an attachment to that light pole was there because there was no electricity there and it was non-functional. So what we have in place is something that, at least for that corner where you said the store is very bright there. And we added those lights, and you know, I had to really push and fight for that. And then I continue to be in communication with the residents of St. Casimir, and you know,
Name
they
in the
haven't
residents.
since made any additional light complaints since those lights been in there, implemented there. So have the complaints continue to come in, I think I would continue to revisit to find alternative options. But because they stopped, it gave me the impression that those lights were sufficient.
I'm willing to bet that people were complaining and she just ignored them. And so is this the kind of person you want to lead this city? She can't even make sure the streets are safe. She's not even concerned if they're safe or not. And they had to bug her to get some temporary lights, which didn't last. And then she didn't care. Once she got the temporary lights, she moved on. And now she's bragging about getting lights up on Elm Street. It's a nightmare on Elm Street, literally. And I'm Freddie. And I'm up there and I see it very dark still. In fact, just recently, I drove by the West Hab Spring Day Center, whatever that's called, that community center there on the corner. And that corner is very dark. And there were kids coming out of that place. And it was extremely dark. And Shanae drove up in her black SUV. I remember that night. And I thought to myself, look, what time is it? Like 7:30, 8? She's in her city vehicle, I guess. That's official business. Right? Not the one she's driving now. I think she got a new car, by the way. Shanae, did you get a new one? Because you have the white Toyota RAV4 now. You were in the Explorer then. But it was very dark. You know that, right, Shanae? You drove and you parked in the corner there and you got out your car. It's very dark. Very dark in that corner. And it's still very dark in NodineHill. And you're just making excuses, Corazon. You don't really care about NodineHill. You don't care about the people in NodineHill. I'm sure that in your mind, they don't vote. I don't care about them. They don't vote. They don't matter. But you know who does vote? Ludlow Park. They vote. So you all over there with the Ginsburg developments, making sure that Ginsburg has no problems and making sure that you keep those residents over there at Ludlow Park that would make a big stink quiet and happy. That's your role. That's your role, Corazon. Play your role. Play your role. Did she even check with the residents? No, because she didn't follow up. And this is what I'm saying. So when people want to send me an email, there's no, again, I don't know the person. I have no issue. I just want to be honest. You know, you can't consider Corazon to be lead the city. I mean, that is blowing my mind. That blows my mind. That doesn't make sense to me. You know, any individual that expects quality in leadership, that expects someone who's intellectually capable, that has the vision, that has the ability, that truly has the strength and the will and determination to get things done, and they get it done. That's who we need, not someone that's going to make an excuse, blame everyone else, not care about the constituents, give them a temporary lighting and care whatever happens after that happens. Blame it on the constituents because they didn't call you, but I bet they did. You guys are known for not responding. This is the individual, indivisible. You guys are backing Westchester, Democratic, whoever, Hispanics, and everyone else, and every other minority group, because it's all about identity politics, right? And being super progressive. Where's the super progressive in that? She didn't care about those poor folks on Kashmir. Kidnap them. Who cares about their kids going to the store, right? I was one of those kids, Corazon. I used to go to the store. The corners were dark, and they still are, Corazon. They're still very dark. There are large portions of time she didn't even live in Yonkers, and I'm hearing she still does. People are questioning and want me to find where she lives. Unfortunately, I'm not a private detective. I can't sit on the case all day, but I know she don't live on Hawthorne, that's for sure. She doesn't live in her district. That's what I believe. I believe she may live in Yonkers. I don't think she lives in her district. That's what I believe. Let's see, on the Yonkers Political News, we have a child molester and ghetto. Yeah. I mean, it's the only way I can get these interviews. I have to, play it. But there's a lot of stuff, a lot of pedophilia stuff I'm digging into, man.
I can see it from your point of view. So guys, if you have a problem and
call your council person, but they're not going to respond.
Also for that area, one of the things that I think will also help them probably with traffic and safety in that area is that the new stop center sharing community is going to be in St. Casimir in that area. So I think that added support services will most likely also create a safer environment there.
Now,
so she said that the new homeless shelter that was put there would add some will put some added security there. And it will make it safer there for the people, and it'll make them feel a lot more comfortable now that the homeless shelter is there. I'm from NodineHill, went to 23. My family owns property over there. I have not seen change at all. Nothing is changing in that community. Not a damn thing. In District 2, not a single thing. And this is the person that indivisible at all you Westchester County Hispanic and this, that, and the third organizations are really supporting. Yeah, I'm going to continue to say that because you're discrediting yourselves and you're showing your true colors. There are a lot more capable people. I'm not even just talking about me. I'm talking about other people that you guys could have groomed, brought in, and said, hey, we want to make a serious run. And we're going to put our infrastructure, because you guys get a lot of respect. Because people say, oh, well, Corazon got this infrastructure. She's got indivisible. They pound the phones. I used to pound the phones too down on Wall Street. Doesn't mean everyone's going to pick up. And hopefully people are smarter these days. They're smarting up. They're seeing what's really happening here in the city of Yonkers. And enough's enough. You guys have been in there forever. You are part of the problem. You, Mike Spano, Lakeisha Collins-Bellamy, John Rubo, Mike Breen, Tasha Diaz, Shanae Williams, right? And Anthony Moranti. You guys are the problem. That's the problem right there, folks. That's the problem in a nutshell here in the city of Yonkers. That's the problem. It's time to go. St. Casimir, what about the seniors in that building? Hey, here you go. Paddy Citizen Money. I don't know. Putting them in harm's way, not saying homeless. I don't know if you guys are having a conversation. Putting them in harm's way, not saying that homeless is bad, but you can't place homeless and drug addicts in one place. That's a problem. I mean, yeah. I mean, if you go by Kashmir, you will see people hanging out there. The homeless folks that stay at the shelter there, they can't stay there, so they'll come out. They'll hang out right at the entrance, exactly that corner that they're talking about, right? They hang out there and along that sidewalk. So, and they're doing drugs. I've seen it in broad daylight. By the way, Corazon. So it is not just dark places that crime takes place, okay? Because in fact, the other day in your district, I saw a guy buying drugs as I was going into the store. I mean, broad daylight. I'm like, this, I'm used to that stuff, folks. That's how I grew up. We grew up in the hood. You see that all day long, right? So, but that's broad daylight, Corazon. So, folks, we want to make change. People know NodineHill. You want to see change there? You want to see NodineHill cleaned up? I know where the problems are. You want to see NodineHill cleaned up? Then you need to vote Freddie Vasquez. That's a fact. You need to save that signature for me if you're registered to vote, if you're a registered Democrat. Real change starts with someone who really wants to make change. Not someone that's going to give you lip service. This is unreal.
Let's move away from that now, and let's talk about record.
Yeah, let's talk about record.
I'm a strong proponent that people should vote based on record. Let's talk about your accomplishments, Corazon, things that you have done that has made your district better. Let's talk about those things.
Thank you. So one of the things that I'm a big supporter of and a big advocate is Yonkers Public Schools. So I'm proud to say that I have never voted for a budget that did not increase our school funding, because I understand that supporting our public schools and our students is one of my and our most important priorities. So that's one of the things that I'm a big supporter and advocate for, the Yonkers Public Schools funding our services, increasing our support services, and funding as much as possible, knowing that we have a lot of limitations and that our schools are historically underfunded. In addition to that, you might remember that I sponsored
Watch what Rural says.
legislation aimed to protect tenants and offer transparency on the history of rental properties. So we created this landlord registry so that folks have the history on a property that they seek to rent and can know what they're getting into before they actually rent it. And the reason for this is because, you know, I'm someone who is trying to buy a home, and I've been, you know, and I've been through the process for many years now. But I learned that when we buy a home, you know, you get to do an inspection. You get to know the home that, for the most part, that you're coming into, and if it, what kind of works it needs, and you know how many owners it's increase the affordable housing ordinance from 10 to 20%. So we're looking to increase the amount of set asides that are built when new development comes into the city. And we know that affordable housing is a big ticket item here in our city. There's not enough of it. Folks are, you know, living from paycheck to paycheck and really deserve quality places to live at affordable rates. And I know the word affordable can mean many different things, but at least right now, we're trying to increase those percentages from 10 to 20% to allow, you know, working families, nurses, teachers, and people that, you know, make average salaries to be able to, you know, live in quality homes. Like I said, we continue to work with organizations like WestHap so that we can bring more 100% affordable units to our communities. And, you know, it's creating a mix of those housing opportunities that are really going to benefit our communities. In addition to that, I also introduced to create an affordable housing registry. Why? Because oftentimes sometimes people don't even know that we have an affordable housing ordinance. And when they do learn about it, they don't know where are these units. So I think it's important that we as a city, as a government, show people where are these units and where people can go to apply. And if all that information is in a centralized location, then we're doing our best job to be informative and to allow people to take advantage of these opportunities. So the goal of this registry is to make applying for these units accessible to the community that we're trying to serve.
Wow, she said a mouthful of hot air, nothing. I mean, I love how she talks about the affordable housing, right? How she wants to increase it to 20% and that they're going to do it. You know, we need it. You know, we need to increase the affordable housing stock. So, you know, I want 20% and we're going to get it done. Yep, that's right. And then we're going to create an affordable housing registry. So you know where all the affordable housings are, if they're available, when they're taking in, you know, applications, you know, and then we're going to create a landlord registry. This is what I'm proposing, right? So we know the history of the apartment that you're going to rent and the landlord, how many violations they had, you know, if they had rats, rodents, or what have you, right? This is what I'm going to do. That was 2 years ago, folks. 2 years ago. But here's the thing, Corazon. I appreciate the housing registry, which there's already one. You can go on affordablehousingonline.com. Basically what she's saying. It's already there. It's been there. And I've been showing it since she started talking about that. But also, if you go to Macy, guess what? They're going to tell you the buildings, right? And so they're going to send you to the buildings. Right. So then you're going to know. They're going to give you all the information there. Right. So that's great, I guess. If you forget to get it from Macy. Right. And then the slumlord one or the landlord registry. Right. Yeah. But you can also find that information as well online. You can search with the city records if you really want to know. If you can't tell by the way the building looks to begin with that it's a slumlord, then you can go to City Hall. But the most important thing that she said there was the 20% affordable housing and how much she wanted this. Do you hear that? Super liberal progressives. Because she failed you guys on that. She should have been at 35 if she really was progressive. Right? Because the reality is that we probably need somewhere about 35, 40%. That's the reality. What's feasible for these developers to want to get into the business and develop, it's going to be somewhere about You know, really 0%. But if we have to pick a percentage, 1, 2, 3, how low can we get it? 10 is where we want to be. We don't want to go any higher than that. Although some say they're going to go up to 13 in this coming meeting when they discuss the affordable housing ordinance that they failed to pass, that she's speaking about right there, but failed to pass. Mind you, Corazon would flip-flop and also say, well, I don't know about 20%, maybe more like 15. That's what the mayor wanted. She was aligned right along with Mike Spano, her buddy. So you guys, I don't understand. What's your basis for putting that machine? Because if you're influencing elections, not in a positive way, that's not okay. You understand? Why don't you sit with some real individuals who want to make real change? Or are you just grasping for power? Which one is it, guys? Tell me. Which one is it? All right. I could be a politician. I'm a great liar. Don't tell your wife.
I'm also committed to helping young mothers and women of color with maternity support, and I've allocated funding to continue the Montefiore Nurse Family Program in Yonkers. And that program provides nurse visits to mothers from from birth to age 2. So what that does is it'll just provide a support service for a new mother or a new family with a child, and provide that nurse visit so that they know they should be getting vaccines. They know what kind of child care is appropriate. Yes.
I'm sorry, you know, I don't want to sound rude.
Get it,
I'm
Ruros.
sorry to interrupt you a little bit, but let's break down the things that you have done to make our community better in parts. That way, in between the subjects that you're saying, we can ask you questions about it and the audience can engage, okay?
Oh, definitely.
So we talk about something, then we go into something else. We take questions about that, okay? So talking about the tenant registry database, I call it, for the lack of a better word, slumlord registration database.
Not that though.
Well, no, I'm talking about what I call it, not what you call it. You might call it something else. I call it that because I think that people should have the right to know who owns the building, how many violations are in that building, and how many things that landlord refuses to fix. And how do I do that? Instead of me going to the city hall when I'm looking for a place, perhaps the city hall or the council could help or give out the
He gives an idea of posting something up on the building if it's a slumlord that lives there or whatever. And she said, oh, maybe.
Without really showing the full picture. I don't know
that's not what I said.
So then I'm misunderstanding then what you said.
That's not what I said. I think common sense would tell me that if somebody gets 1 violation or 2 violations, that don't mean that the person is a slum landlord. But if that landlord has 50 violations and
you're saying the top offenders.
The top offenders, correct.
Okay.
You offended on the same violation more than 5 or 10 times. You have been given warnings to fix. You refuse to fix. Now you put a notice out for the people to know what's going on.
See, here's the thing, folks. There's a lot of slumlords, but the problem is a lot of these slumlords, like that guy, Robert Cantor, that was at the meeting that praised the mayor, that said good evening to the mayor, even though he wasn't there. Remember that guy that spoke and about AMS and how great they were and how much research he had done into them? That guy was a slumlord. A lot of the people that are connected to these officials are slumlord. That's why they never pass or wanted Corazon ever talking about the slamlord or the slumlord, depending how you say it, right, Ruros, right? They didn't want her because you have people like Nader Sage, you have, people probably like the Spanos that own, I don't know, I'm just saying probably, you got all these people that own buildings, that are slumlords, that are connected, that are donors, political donors. So they're not going to mess with them. And that's a huge issue. I've been to many apartments, like the Crestwood Lake apartments. Whoever owns that, well, I know who owns it, but that person connected, right? So big. So why not? Why not go over there? Because they got the connections. They're big donors. They got money. But a lot of people there at the Crestwood Lake apartments are suffering from water leaks, mold, wood coming up, rotted wood rot, dry rot, I should say. We call it sheetrock is, falling apart. It's not good, right? And they're living like that. No one is fixing it. People have black mold, I've seen, boilers leaking water. I've been to many apartments now. People have called me. It's horrible, horrible, horrible that people are living in this condition and they don't do anything about it. Corazon, why aren't you saying, hey, mayor, or hey, building department, we need you guys to go out there and inspect these slumlord buildings. It's bad for the people. It's unhealthy. And then what happens? The tenants get kicked out then, once they're ready to do that. They out of a home, then they get fixed up by some new investor, and then the price of the rent goes up. People who got kicked out never returned, right? So that's what they do. Remember when they kicked those people out during the wintertime, during Christmas, and they got their Christmas gifts stolen when they closed the building down? And so they made the people leave right away. They had, like, it was like an emergency. They kicked them out, and then people knew that they were out of the building, so they broke in and they stole the Christmas gifts. That was messed up. Robert Cantor, the fellow who came over here on the Mayflower, I don't know. He said his family's been here for a very long time. Maybe they landed on Plymouth Rock. Oh, did Plymouth Rock land on him?
In that particular building.
That's interesting.
Consequences.
Yeah.
When they have 50% of those apartments vacant because of
So
Corazon, many times, well, as long as you hit them in a pocket, they feel there is no consequences.
Yeah.
When they have 50% of those apartments vacant because of the violations that they have, now they will start fixing the apartments. That's one of the things. Now, I have another question that came by text. They say, look, Councilwoman, you are a councilwoman, but you are also a county employee.
Listen,
And we are aware
listen to
that
this.
You've been driving.
Folks, this is crazy when I heard this part, right? This is crazy when I heard this part. This is what we've been talking about in terms of the abuse of the cars, the city vehicles. This is crazy. I don't know. Tell them, let's listen. This is crazy.
Your
And she wonders why we don't
vehicle
have money.
to your county job in White Plains. Now, I'm not saying that it is or it isn't. I don't know. I'm just asking the questions as they come in, and it's up to you to address it or don't address it. Is this true? Not true? If it is, why?
it is. So, and I actually asked
It
for,
is true?
so it is true that I do work for the county, and it is also true that I drive my city-owned vehicle to the county when I go to work. And before doing so, I asked for legal guidance from Corporation Counsel to ask if that was proper. And the response that I received is that I am a councilwoman 24/7. Therefore, the car that is afforded to me is for my 24/7 use. And in the same way that when I worked in the city, I used to also drive my city vehicle into the city sometimes, is the same way that I could drive it to White Plains, because if I'm called at any minute to do something council related, I use my city car to handle that issue. If there is a fire in the middle of the day that I need to attend to, if there is a displacement that I need to attend to, I do so, and I get there in my city vehicle. Therefore, as per legal counsel, they said it's completely appropriate, especially because we have to state the amount of mileage that we use for personal use, and that gets deducted from our pay stubs. Therefore, I report any driving that I do that is not city related on a quarterly basis.
Now, this comment comes.
So she drives her city car, and she said when she worked in the city, she would drive it in there. But notice she caught herself sometimes. She would drive the city car, City of Yonkers provided vehicle, into the city to go to work at her other job. Now she drives up to, I guess, White Plains or wherever in the county for her county job. And it's perfectly okay because that's what the corporate council says. She's a council member 24/7. And there could be a fire. And she has to come put it out. Right? Well, why can't you just drive home or drive to City Hall, pick up your vehicle? You're not a first responder, so it's not like they need you there right away, right? Unless you're going to grab a hose and run into the burning building. If the fire hydrant works, corazón, drive to City Hall, leave your car there, pick the city vehicle up, and then go to wherever you need to go. How many times have they had to go somewhere in the middle of the night, emergency? It seems like she drives it more to work than she does anywhere else, to her job. And so that's why we don't have money, corazón. Didn't Mike Spano run on the fact that he was going to clean that up? There were too many city vehicles. You guys may not remember this, but some of you may. When Mike Spano first ran for mayor, he said there was a problem with cars. In fact, Vinny Spano, let me tell you a little story that's true. Let me kick my feet up. Vinny Spano actually made my cousin, not Erwin Vasquez, but his sister and another individual, and I won't say her name, go meet with the FBI. This was before the mayor won, to report this problem, or this is the problem, or this abuse of city vehicles. Yeah, this is what they do. They force city employees and people within the Democratic, I think they were city employees, to do this. Call the FBI and meet with them, and they did. Poor individuals, because Vinny Spano wanted them to do that in order to try to get Phil Amacone in trouble. I don't know if it's Phil or Spencer. I didn't make Phil Amacone, because of the city vehicles, the abuse, and how all these people had city vehicles and they were given this. Like, these guys would do anything to win. And so it makes sense now why I got a call from the FBI. And they said that someone with a weird name, they left my number. It was strange. Very strange. But this is what happens here. So they had an issue. They try to use that to Spanos as an issue, to criticize the current administration. And yet and still, they're doing the same thing. But when he first got in there, Mayor Spano, he took everyone's car away, right? He took all the, cars away from people. He fired some of the Amacone, or a lot of the Amacone people. You're gone. And then little by little, he started giving people cars back. Hey, you want a car? And then you know what's up, right? I'll take that car from you. All right, here's a car, here's the keys. Corazon, you can go to the city, but don't act up, girl. Keep those Dominicans online for me. Need their votes. All right? I like that, my fongo, my Google, whatever you call it. Right? So that's what he did. He gave them out so he can have that leverage over them and say, hey, I'm going to, you're going to respect me, and you're going to listen to, Spano, and that's it. And so now the abuse of cars is outrageous, right? Everybody that's part of the elite, have cars, and they abuse them, use them, take them everywhere they go, down to the Jersey Shore, to the city to work, across the bridge to one of her homes or where she really lives, what people say. So this is incredible. Corazon, that is why we have money issues. That's exactly why. You're part of the problem. Part
Again,
of the problem.
For Mr. Barry Magui, New York state laws need to be changed. Most slumlords own their properties through an LLC. It's almost impossible to find out who owns the LLC that owns that building. New York state laws must be changed to make slumlords accountable. Well, I agree with Mr. Magui, but if we put those signs at the door, and no one rents those apartments because of the numerous violations in that particular building, maybe that will help the tenants and will force the landlords to fix the buildings that need to be fixed.
Absolutely.
Here's the
that's
excuse.
one of the struggles that we have in going after certain landlords, because oftentimes you can't get a hold of them because the contact information is an LLC and we don't know how to reach them. So one of the things that we've done also moving forward is that all landlords need to the city report person of contact to the city.
And how's that going to help if they report a person of contact? That person could not have the phone. That could be anybody. It doesn't matter. Here's the truth. You can get a hold of the person who owns the LLC. I'm doing it all day long. How you think I'm doing it? I've been doing that forever, though. Because I have to research properties. You want to buy a property, or you want to, find out who the owner is for whatever reason. My business, what I do, I have to all the time, I have to get in contact with the owners. And yes, many times it's an LLC. But that doesn't stop me from finding out who the owner is and their contact information and everything, where they live and all that. That's an excuse. You want excuses, Yonkers? Got a candidate right here. You got the candidate right here. If you want to really do something about the slumlords, you can go after them. Find the building. Do what you guys did to the fire department. Do what you guys did to the sharing community. Send the building department in there. Shut them down. Send them like you did to my daycare center, which everybody thinks is beautiful and amazing. And we don't even have to do too much selling. They come in, it's sold. We don't even speak. But you send the building department and the fire department to my business to try and shut me down, right? But you won't do that to these slumlords. Shame on you, corazon. You send these building inspectors to shut down the sharing community, leaving homeless people to literally sleep outside on cots. And I played the video because the building department here in Yonkers shut down the sharing community. You shut down the fire department. They're risking people's lives in the city of Yonkers because AMS wanted that land. They shut down the sharing community because the mayor and all the developers don't want homeless people over here. And then you try and attack businesses that you don't want open, or you guys have a personal vendetta. And I know you're watching because Vinny tells me you watch, and he would call him laughing about some of the things I say. So listen up. You guys send your building department and fire department after my business on some personal vendetta, but you can't go after these slumlords. You're full of crap, and enough is enough. I'm tired of the crap, Yonkers. I'm tired of it. And you guys who are supporting this should have thought otherwise. And I told you. So to the person that emailed me, you should have known that I would be doing my podcast and I would be going through these individual candidates. And no, I'm not going to support somebody for mayor who I think is the last person that should be mayor. So there you have it. Any more advice? Anonymous emailer. I'm done with this. This is a bunch of lies. And this is what we're going to get if this is who we vote for. We're going to get lies if we vote for Mike Spano. We're going to get lies if we vote for Corazon Pineda-Isaac. We're going to get lies if we vote for Anthony Moranti. And no disrespect to you. You're a nice guy, but you know, you do that spinning because you're not telling the truth, Anthony. It's hard for the lie to come out your mouth because somewhere you might be a good guy, right? Maybe you are. I don't know. But you spin. You spin. You do, Anthony. And you know what you've been up to with that budget. Why do you think Corazon Pineda-Isaac named you chair of the budget committee? Why? You're a Republican. She's a Democrat. There's a supermajority. Why would she make that move? You know, that one is hard to prove because no one else is really capable at all of being at that chair. So it's like, I guess, you know, it is the best decision. But really, it wasn't that reason. It wasn't that reason at all. Why? And why did you name John Rubo, a former Republican who was a Republican then, to the chair of the real estate committee, knowing that his landlord was AMS and he was very much tied to these developers? Why would you do that? A Republican tied to developers, that's who you're going to name and appoint to the chair of the real estate committee. And then you had issues with him on it. You had issues with the affordable housing and what committee it was going to be placed on. John Rubo wanted it because he wanted to make it go away. And you were fighting him. Remember that meeting? No, it should be in this rules committee or whatever, the codes and legislative committee, because that's where changing the code, right? You guys are fighting. But you set yourself up. So how are you going to lead this city if you put yourself in a bad situation by bad decisions you make? You don't think ahead, but you're not thinking at all because those decisions you make are not yours. And so here we are, Yonkers. Who do we want to lead this city moving forward? Do you want someone that's going to lie and make excuses? Or do you want somebody that's going to get in there, root out that corruption, and change this city so that it benefits everyone? And we start with the schools, we start with jobs, and we start by cleaning up NodineHill, your district, Corazon. And we start by cleaning up Getty Square. And we're going to make AMS do it. Because AMS, you're going to make money over there, right? Why don't you start cleaning up now? Don't wait till your buildings are built. Put some money in it now. No, you're not? Then maybe we got to find another developer. That's how we do it. We need to squeeze these developers, not be in their pockets. And so to your folks on the east side, you have to see what's going to be happening in the next 5 years, 10 years from now, if you allow these individuals to continue to be in charge. Your neighborhood is going to change significantly, and you're not going to know about it till it's too late. And so we have to think outside the box now. Are we really going to give our signature to these individuals? Are you going to give your signature to the person you thought you were going to give your signature to? Maybe you ought to reconsider. Or you're going to be part of the problem. It's just one of my belief.
But the city, the Department of Buildings has someone to contact in the case of an emergency and things like that. So one of the things that we've done when we do our landlord reform legislation.
Let's move on.
We did $950,000 for road resurfacing, but we know that those are works that we have to continue doing. So I think that work will continue, because I know there are many people that still have complaints about, how their streets are. And,
2 years ago.
How
this is
we
2
can
years
do
ago.
better. So I think continue to invest in that infrastructure is absolutely important. I think that we can still continue to improve our parks. And that's something that I also look forward to, putting more money in the budget for continue.
Like $13 million to build Leonard Spano Park? Is that what you mean?
I believe John Rubel was a Democrat about these.
Now, I want to go over this really quick, and then I'm going to get out of here. I want to get on with Anthony DiMaggio. This is important, though. This is what I was just talking about. Hear what she has to say, folks.
NodineHill said, we would like some adult workout equipment in one of the parks in NodineHill. They advocated for that, and we
about these, and it was here on my list, but somebody just anticipated me and asked the question. And this is the essence of this question. You are a majority leader. Democrats control the majority. Why are you creating the optical illusion that you tend to incline more with the Republican line than actually the Democratic line? You were appointed to two important positions, budget and finance, to Mr. Morante, who is a Republican, and you appointed real estate chair committee to John Rubel. I believe John Rubel was a Democrat.
No, you mean a Republican.
But he was just turned Democrat. So he was still very much in line with the Republicans. Since we have a majority Democrat, why not give the Democrat those two very important positions? Why create the illusion that you are inclined, or put the questions on people's mind? Why did she do it? What is for her to gain?
Yes, definitely. And I agree. I love that you use the word illusion, because it's exactly what it is. It's an illusion.
It's all an illusion, folks.
I lean with the Republicans. Why? Because I on the council have the longest and strongest Democratic record. You could just go to my legislations and the things that I've introduced and voted on, so for proof of that. But I won't go into that. So the budget committee, Councilman Morency, who is a Republican, is also a certified financial accountant, CPA.
Certified public accountant.
And in doing the budget, he expressed, wanting to use his expertise and his years of service in accounting and in finance to really lead the budget committee. He was the only one who expressed interest, and he was very excited to do so. And I think that, as positions that as leaders, I think it's important for us, even when we have colleagues in opposing parties, that we still, find ways to work together and to provide opportunities. Given that, though, I understood that we do have a majority. So if at any point Morency seemed to be detrimental or obtrusive, or want to obstruct anything, we have the votes to move anything in whatever way we want. So there's nothing so him being the chairman of the committee does not control how, we decide to move this agenda, because at the end of the day, Democrats control the votes, and we continue to move the agenda into how we proceed with the city council's mission. John Rubo is the chair of real estate, and John Rubo, you're right, he recently turned Democrat, and I was cautious when he turned Democrat, and I expressed to him why I was cautious, but also I'm someone who provides opportunities, who believes in chances, who believes in open, being a person with open arms. And John Rubo also expressed of his desire to be the real estate chair, and why, and also his desire to thoughtfully work through an affordable housing ordinance, and his desire to talk about development and talk through development in the city. And he provided the best case as to why he should be real estate chair. And I also wanted to give him the opportunity. And I think that in both cases, we've done a fair, it's been a fair decision. Marantia's budget chair, we passed the budget that Democrats supported. And as real estate chair, we continue to put forth legislations that have to do with development, to move an affordable housing ordinance. And regardless, there are votes there that can move any item out of committee should the Democrats decide to do so.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that the moving out of committee as soon as the Democrats.
Folks, all fluff, all nonsense what she's saying there. All nonsense. It's all fluff. Look, the fact of the matter is that she named Rubo chair of the real estate committee because that's what she was told to do. That's exactly what she was told to do. John Rubo, whose landlord is AMS and has a conflict of interest there, should not be the chair of the real estate committee at all. She should not at all. And she says that he's working to get this affordable housing ordinance thing put together. No, he's not. They never got one done. Yes, we're a super majority and we'll get things out of legislation if we want. We got the votes. We're strong and powerful. We're Latina. And you got nothing done. Nothing. Affordable housing is a democratic issue. You are a super democratic majority and could not get affordable housing ordinance, and you could have. You guys could have. You should have you should have voted to override the mayor's veto. Why didn't you? Corazon, why didn't you? Tasha, why didn't you? John, why didn't you? Shanae, why didn't you? Why didn't you guys get it done? And why have you not got it done? Huh, Lakeisha? Huh, Corazon? Huh, Shanae? Huh, Tasha? Huh, John? You see what I'm saying, folks? This is 2 years old. And in another 2 years, we will be seeing the same exact thing. The only difference is there will be more taller buildings, more crowds, more people, more dog poop on your sidewalk from all the dogs that they're bringing up here. And they got to walk, right? It's like a city thing. That's all we're going to see. No improvement with the schools. No affordable housing. None at all. It's really not affordable anymore. Crime is going to continue to go up. And just because it's, petty theft or stores are getting robbed, it's still crime and business owners are still being impacted. And no one cares. Business owners in Getty Square are having to chase the thieves themselves because by the time the cops get there, they're long gone with the goods that they stole. And I'm not blaming cops. I'm just saying. Why is that? Why isn't cops in Getty Square where there's people gathered and loitering all day long? All day long, they're loitering there all day long. Lots of people doing nothing, most likely selling drugs, smoking drugs, high on some drugs, on the floor, drunk, panhandling, and yet still nothing's been done. Why? Because AMS is going to be developing there, and we don't care. Once they develop, we will. We'll get them out. But until then, we don't care. Isn't that right, Corazon? I know Getty Square is not your district, but NodineHill is. And it's a nice little path down Elm Street, all the way down to Palisade, all the way right into Getty Square, that you see the traffic flow. You stop at the light right there on Neppahan and Elm Street, you can see the traffic flow. You see it. Use your district where they found that guy, the heroin addict, who said, those negative things about me. They paid him $300. He sleeps in your district. I know exactly where he's at. I don't went to look for him. And he's in an abandoned building over there in your district that's very dangerous for kids walking by. They can get pulled in. You have to see this, folks. I'm going to take a picture and I'm going to post it in her district. And so here we are, coming up on an election or a primary, Tuesday, February 28th. People will be knocking on your door for your signature. You have to think long and hard. Who are you going to sign for? Just about everyone has had an opportunity to show you what they can do as an elected official, as your representative. And I can't say there has been anyone that has truly impressed me. And I'm sure you can say the same, unless you have been given special consideration, which there are those people. Oh, I love my councilman. He always answers my emails and phone calls. I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does, but you live in a bubble, right? You live in a bubble. And that's not the same for everybody. And that's not the case for most people. I've had that experience. My council members have failed me. Many people have had that experience. Their council members have failed them. Our Yonkers City Council, including our mayor, has failed this entire city. They have not failed, however, all the rich developers that are getting wealthier here in the city of Yonkers. I'm Freddie Vasquez, Basic Politics. Stay tuned. I'll be on with Anthony DiMaggio. I have to get this one out the way. At the end of the day, insert worn out cliches when you have nothing worthwhile to say. Absolutely. It's the same spiel. This is why I want to show interviews from 2 years ago, saying the same exact thing. Nothing has changed, folks. Nothing has changed in Yonkers besides the tall buildings. And unless you're coming from the city and you're moving into one of them, there is no benefit. You're not benefiting. Only the people who are leaving more expensive Manhattan, coming up here to less crowds, because to them is less crowds, are the only ones benefiting. That's it. Think about this. Are you prepared, Yonkers, to have 22 movie studios? 22 movie studios. Are you prepared for that? Are you prepared for those 4 to 5 tall buildings on Chicken Island? Are you prepared for the construction that's going to be happening when those are built? And what about the Teutonia? You folks in Water Grant Street. It's not too late. I'm Freddie Vasquez. Ring your bell and let me in. I'll see you on Tuesday, folks. Join me. I'll be on with Anthony DiMaggio here in a few. Thank you, Romario. I appreciate it. And there was something that she said. She was kind of trying to blame DPW. And I said, nah, don't blame DPW, Corazon. Don't do that. I'm going to go downstairs. Pour your coffee. Pour your coffee, folks. If you want, join us. Anthony DiMaggio and I, we're going to be talking some more about the Yonkers Police Department, his case with the Yonkers Police Department and how it relates to corruption here in the city of Yonkers. The primary thing that we must do is root out the corruption, folks. We have to get the corruption out. We have to end the nepotism system. Too many of you folks, and I know I've gotten the calls, have been passed up on jobs year after year, and it's not okay, and that's going to change. We're going to tackle all that. Absolutely. Why not? Why not? That's the job of an elected official. And if you're there doing your job every day, if you're in City Hall every day, not taking vacations, not in the Hamptons, not in, Naples and Florida, if you're at work every day, then you can get those things done. And that's what I intend on doing. I'm Freddie Vasquez, folks. Stay tuned. I'll be right back. Imagine how historic that would be. This would be in the record books. Absolutely. Be a part of it. Freddie Vasquez petition and then vote for Freddie Vasquez for mayor.
Freddie wins.
I can see it now.
Fatality.
Netflix special, City of Hills. I am the protagonist. I'm gonna go hard, folks. I'm gonna make a lot of noise, and I want as many people to know that I'm out there getting signatures. Hopefully I'll be the guy that you reserve your signature for, and I will not forget you. Even if you don't give me your signature, I will still look out for you. So please, wait for me to knock on your door. I'm Freddie Vasquez. I'll see you in a little bit. Take care. History, baby. It's history.
Freddie wins.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez. You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
Freddie wins.
I was raised in housing. I don't think you were.
Thank you for watching Basement Politics with my husband, Freddie Vasquez.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
Folks, have a beautiful and blessed night. Stay tuned, though. I will have Anthony DiMaggio on. And to the person that emailed me, I was going to do this podcast anyway. You just reminded me of it, and I did it sooner. But the reality is, I cannot support someone I don't agree with. I don't see Corazon as the true leader. I've had conversations with individuals about this, months ago, even early on in last year. We both agreed the maturity level's not there. I've been around these individuals, in more relaxed moments, more candid moments. And that's when you get to see people who they really are. And I just want to see real leadership, strong leadership, someone that's going to look out for everyone in the city of Yonkers as best as possible. It's going to make decisions that benefit or do not negatively impact the city or the people of the city. We have to focus on our schools, and that's not something that's going to be easy, but we definitely have to tackle that issue. We have to improve these schools. I want to see a real sports program. I want every high school team to have their own football team, dedicated coaches to these teams, cheerleading squads. Bring back ice hockey. Let's get the ice hockey teams. Start practicing up there at Murray's. Right? We have to be innovative, think outside the box, and we can make this happen because a real great school district truly improves the city overall, and it brings the community together. It unites the community. We will all be, one school district against all the other school districts vying for state. That's an incredible thing to see, that parents and students all together. Black, white, young, old, doesn't matter. It's all about our education. That is the future, not developments, not overdevelopments.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
No!
That's what we need. Let's improve our educational system. Let's put the money where it belongs. Let's get rid of these cars that are being abused. Let's cut wasteful spending. Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm not going to lie. You vote for me. Heads are going to crack. Heads are going to roll. People are going to get fired. There are people that are in positions that do not qualify to be there and should not be there and are making way too much money. And that is impacting our city overall. And so, yeah, those jobs would be eliminated. There's wasteful spending. Join me. Email me at info@freddyformayor.com or visit freddyformayor.com, www.freddyformayor.com. But reach out to me. Join the movement. Make history. Be a part of history. It's the only movement. I'm not going anywhere. So if it hurts the campaign of Corazon Pineda, I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say. but I don't intend on doing this if I don't intend on truly winning.